You've previously said that you wouldn't be raising taxes. Have you reconsidered that stance?
No, I would say one energetic rally does not get me to change my positions, I assure you. But I do hear people's voices. I process what everybody says, but I'm also have to balance governing this state and making sure that those people who are actually the reason we have a generous, supportive budget that helps lift people up, it's their revenues that we tax. 1.5% of New Yorkers cover about a third of our budget. That's enormous. I'm concerned about outmigration of people who are the ones who are supporting our budget. I cannot make up for that with middle class tax increases. I cannot do that to the middle class and the struggling New Yorkers. So this is the balance. I mean, this is my position.
Status quo is broken. It's not working for people every single day. Every day New Yorkers are being left behind. And what I have learned is absent bold, decisive, transformational change in this moment, we're not going to be in a position to restore people's confidence in this thing we call democracy. Just as a point of reference, in New York, 1 out of 4 folks are unable to afford basic necessities, basic needs. 1 out of 4, 2 out of 5 households cannot afford basic necessities across the state. Whether it's upstate, downstate, urban, rural, doesn't make a difference. People are being left behind. 1 in 5 kids in poverty, half those kids in deep poverty. And oh, by the way, a $254 billion budget right here in New York, third largest economy in the country, if an independent nation, the 9th in the entire world. Meanwhile, the largest wealth inequality gap of any state in the country. So here we are, the great blue state of New York, and we're exacerbating economic inequality, which in my estimation is the poison pill of democracy. So until we actually right-size this and move beyond the old guard, establishment, broken system, machine politicians, we're not going to be able to fix this.
Expand on that notion of wealth inequality, because that's something that we tend to talk about quite a bit around here. How does it end up breaking down democracy and also the sort of the material condition of people?
Well, when I was growing up, so I grew up in Schenectady, working class family. My parents worked for General Electric back when GE had a major presence in upstate New York. I cut coupons, put clothes on layaway, latchkey kid, come home, do my homework, leave it on the counter. I watched my parents work us up into the middle class. And I actually believed, and my parents did too, that I had a better than 50-50 chance of having a better quality of life. That story of upward mobility is essential to any growing sense of confidence in democracy, this idea of equal opportunity for all. Since my generation, I'm Gen X, since my generation, the folks coming up behind us actually are going to do worse off. Right now, the average first-time homeowner age is around 40. 20 years ago, it was 28. The average rent right now is 7 times income. 30, 40 years ago, it was 3 times. So even just the price of admission into opportunity on the part of the generation coming up behind us is too high to engage. And so if you're being priced out of the project of democracy, why even believe in it in the first place, right? Why do you actually decide to hold on to it if it's not giving you anything in return? So there's a sense of economic nihilism that sets in that is pervasive across race, across geography now. And I think it's fundamentally undermining our democratic system. 2/3 of folks right now can't pay, are actually living paycheck to paycheck. They literally cannot survive right now beyond what's literally coming into them on a weekly basis in the richest country the world has ever known. And meanwhile, corporations are making more money than they've ever made and paying less in taxes. Those two things shouldn't go together. So yes, it is a profound sense of undermining when it comes to the very essence of what a democracy is meant to do, and that is to not leave communities behind. But in fact, we have government actors on both sides of the aisle right now who are reinforcing economic inequality at the expense of everyday New Yorkers and everyday Americans.
And I think that it was kind of a fatal flaw in the 2024 Harris campaign with the focus on democracy, where it's how are you going to get people to buy into a system that has not been working for them? And there was not requisite acknowledgement of that, which it seems like your campaign is trying to correct. And I found it interesting, you have a different approach to housing, which is arguably the biggest issue for New Yorkers, one of the biggest issues in the country. And you have a difference in strategy than Governor Hochul here, more focused on subsidies. What is your housing proposal for New York State, and how does it differentiate from the current governor?
I appreciate that. The housing crisis is fundamental, and the strategy, and not just here in New York, I argue across, the country with regards to democratic politics, is to leverage the private marketplace, and in particular, big developers with tax credits, with the hopes that they ultimately build affordable housing. And essentially, you outsource all of the state's capacity, both administratively, technically speaking, and you just say, please, private sector, with all your infinite wisdom, devise for us affordable housing, when we know the driving mechanism for those private actors is profit. So here we are trying to work out a public good in partnership with the private sector, but the private sector has all the leverage because the private sector then uses its money to compromise political actors to give them what they want in exchange for what's called affordable housing. Why not build up our own state capacity, leverage the public dollars that we have, and then have statewide programs that give money directly to New Yorkers? So, for example, a statewide rental assistance program. Right now, we have 7 out of 10 New Yorkers who are eligible for HUD rental assistance. And right now, our governor has proposed a $50 million pilot program. I would suggest a $250 million statewide program that lifts up all folks who are in need. Or how about a statewide first-time homeowner grant program, so that all those young families who are being priced out of the economy, priced out of the American dream, can actually have public dollars reinforce them at a time of real critical need. That, to me, is the difference. It's taking public dollars and investing them directly in public goods, as opposed to taking public dollars and hoping through the lens of neoliberalism that the private sector and the free market will somehow work it all out for everybody else. That's just a more sophisticated version of trickle-down economics, if you ask me.
Let's talk about universal health care. What does that mean when the rubber meets the road in the context of A, what you can do in New York State as opposed to on a federal level, and B, what it means relative to the question of affordability? How much healthcare insurance or actual healthcare are you talking about providing versus making it broadly affordable?
I support the New York Health Act, which would create a single payer system right here in New York. The thing that drives me wild, crazy about healthcare is this idea that we're not paying for healthcare. We're paying for insurance. We're paying for companies to basically extract as much profit as they possibly can at our expense. And that is basically the entirety of our system. And the notion that we're going to continue to allow folks to go bankrupt, continue to be denied over and over and over again, continue to have to go through God knows how many obstacles just to appeal a denial is insane, when we are literally in the richest country the world has ever known. And on top of that, one of the richest states. We have the capacity here to actually sustain ourselves, and the cost savings upwards of $60 billion annually once you get beyond the insurance companies' bureaucracy, middlemen, infrastructure, red tape, and of course the profiteering mentality. You get beyond all those components and the savings actually start pouring in. And ultimately, it's a moral question too. Who are we as a nation if we're not prepared to treat healthcare as a genuine human right? So both morally, economically, and I would say even politically now, where we have an actor right now in Washington who is dead set on gutting healthcare, gutting Medicaid, gutting the entire social safety net. New York has a responsibility to lead in this moment. We have the wherewithal. We are the financial capital of the world. We have among the most billionaires, the most millionaires. We have the capacity to lead in this moment and demonstrate for all of America what it means to actually not leave anybody behind.